What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Ernie, Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Alright, so today's video we're going to be talking about Children of the Atom, number 2 by Vita Ayala and Bernard Chang. And in this video, we are going to discuss the character Cherub and how his character is a perfect commentary on the Black experience in America today. And more importantly, we're also going to talk about whether or not the rest of the Hells Bells weren't on Krakoa because they weren't welcome or because they didn't ask. We're going to talk about all that and more right now. But first, let's hit that intro.
Word to wise, grass only greener when it's fertilized. Gave them truth in these songs, they prefer to lies. Destiny beautiful, adrift in her purple eyes. You can't see me, you Stevie, wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
Okay, so this comic, at least the first half of it, largely focuses on the perspective and the character Cherub. Gabe Braithwaite, who is, for the most part, probably one of, if not my all-over favorite character so far in all this. Really, all of the characters in the Children of the Atom, I feel like are good characters, especially the more I've gone back and reread the first issue, the more I've gone back and kind of looked at certain things, and especially after reading this issue, it's been cemented. Cherub is easily my favorite character in all of this, with Gimmick and Cyclops last being in very closely behind him in second and third place, respectively. Now, let's not say I don't like Daycrawler or Marvel Guy. It's just that these characters so far have shown, or at least have been given the time early on to give me just enough depth and look into their characters that I'm really ready to just go all in on them. We haven't really gotten to spend a whole heap of a lot of time with Daycrawler or Marvel Guy, but we've seen just enough of them for me to kind of get an idea of their personalities. But one of the things that actually comes up from the previous issue is the concert that Dazzler is going to be throwing, that the Children of the Atom are going to be going to. And this is kind of a commentary moment because we're learning more about Gabe, and he kind of has this lifestyle that I feel like doesn't get talked about a lot in comics. I mean, yes, we have characters like, Miles Morales. We've had characters in the past like Static, who I think Static probably more so than Miles Morales has dealt with this subject matter just a little bit. But I love the fact that Vita Ayala, especially considering that they are going to be writing Static when Static returns through Milestone Media in a couple of months. I found it very interesting that Vita took the time to, kind of give us one of those kind of Static type monologues, or inner monologues rather, where the character of Gabe is talking about how a lot of people, when they see him, they assume they already know who they are. And it's one of those things, I feel like Black people of color in general, but specifically Black people, especially in light of everything that has been going on, a lot of what has been going on, especially in the last 10 years alone, I feel like, yeah, this is something that I think Black people can really jive with, is the fact that he says people automatically assume they know who he is. He's a Black boy, he clearly plays basketball, and his father is out of the picture. So, he must be suffering from some lack of strong role models in his life because he doesn't have a dad in his life. Clearly his mother can't be a strong role model. That'll never happen. He must be getting by because he's a good basketball player. Yeah, he's got skills on the court. So of course he's getting to skate by just on good looks and ability alone. He can't possibly be intelligent. And that people think that he has to be troubled because of his situations, and that because he must be troubled, he must in fact be trouble. It's this type of automatic assumption that people make about people of color, and once again, Black people more specifically. There's literally a video circulating right now on Twitter. I retweeted it before working on this video of a guy who, oddly enough, I correctly guessed was either a cop or someone in the military, some bald white guy who looks like he could be moonlighting for the KKK or the AmeriCops, and this guy literally was harassing a Black man for simply walking through a neighborhood that the Black man lived in. Because the white man couldn't possibly believe that a Black person who looks like him could ever live in a nice neighborhood. And that's kind of, not exactly the same thing, but I mean, it's the same vibe. It's the same energy. And that's what Gabe is here to talk about. Gabe is talking about how people see him as a body to be exploited or clock him as a threat to be dealt with. And that is something that I think is very powerful because he is a body to be exploited. Talk about the fact that, he's good at sports. He must be strong. We can even use him on our sports teams, but, we don't really care for him in any other capacity. Or, the fact that, oh, he's out here in these streets, he's walking around, he's simply breathing God's air and living his best life, minding his own business. He must be getting ready to rob somebody or kill somebody or rape somebody. And it's one of those situations that if you are not a person who is black or a person of color, you probably won't understand this. And honestly, I don't expect you to. I don't expect you to get it. But if you are a person of color, you are a black or brown person, I kind of half expect anyone reading this would read it and go, they're actually talking some points. Because at the end of the day, Gabe is none of those things. He's not troubled. He's not just some dumb jock. He's intelligent. He even talks about the fact that he's been in advanced math classes since he was in 2nd grade because his mother was a math teacher and she had him doing high school math before he was even in elementary school. He is an incredibly diligent student. The fact that he even brings up that when his father passed away from his battle with cancer, that was the only time in his life that his grades ever dipped, and it was only for a single semester. And you could imagine that. Any person could imagine, yeah, of course, he's dealing with things. He is dealing with emotional trauma from losing a loved one. Of course his grades are gonna dip. Yeah, makes perfect sense. And the guy is clearly creative. He even talks about how he recreated Starry Nights for his mother using watercolors that he ganked from his school. Now, yeah, of course, I know somebody from like Diversity in Comics, or wherever the that channel's name is now, or whatever, or somebody from comics can be like, oh, he's a thief, he's a menace, I want pictures of Cherub. It's like, that's the type of bullshit they're gonna be on. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. I don't care about that pain. But I love the fact that Cherub talks about how no one ever really ask him what he wants to be, who he really is. And the only people that he feels genuinely accepted around are his friends, the Children of the Atom, even though that is technically not their name, it's just the name of the comic. But still, I'm gonna call them the Children of the Atom because that's the title of the book. That's just what we're gonna do. You either deal with it, are you with it? I don't know what to tell you. And of course, we even get a little more insight into the world of mutants and this newfound era of Krakoa and House of X and all this other stuff. But we go back to the idea of Cole when they go to this concert for Dazzler and everybody's hanging out having a good time. One of the first things they notice is that Cole, the same kid who we talked about in the previous issue, who was dying in the hospital, was literally on death's door, and then out of nowhere, mysteriously, this guy is now he's alive and well. More importantly, he's stronger and faster than before. Even talking about how he body checked Gabe on the court in the previous issue, and everybody's like, oh my god, dude, you're doing great. What are you even doing here? Because for the most part, Cole has never had an interest in anything mutant related. And you can kind of tell when he's asked, like, maybe there is a deeper underlying thing. Something tells me that, at least with some of the language that's being used here, at first I would forgive anyone for thinking that, oh, maybe he's a mutant, maybe his powers were kicking in and that's, what's to do with it. But actually I think what was going on here is that he was saved by Krakoan drugs is what is implied here. And that is why he's kind of taking more of a vested interest in mutants. Now, of course, he does also say that while he was in the hospital, Gabe let him listen to an old joint from Dazzler, and that was what actually got him into the whole, mutant music deal or whatever. Yeah, that's another thing here or there. But I did actually love his reasoning behind why he fell in love with it, because it's the same thing I tell people about the music that I enjoy. A lot of people don't know this, and I guess, maybe this is commentary, this is story time for Blerd Without Fear, but a lot of people see me, they automatically assume, oh, you must listen to like rap, hip-hop, R&B, that's the stuff that black people listen to. But a lot of people know this. I am a huge fan of heavy metal, death metal, melodic death metal, speed metal, thrash metal. I love 90s dance pop like it's nobody's tomorrow. Like, I love that shit. I eat it up. I'm a huge fan of J-pop, K-pop, J-rock, so on and so forth. I often tell people, because people always say, oh, you listen to K-pop? Oh, you're one of those people. But here's the thing. Just like what Cole says, where he says that even though it was kind of corny, I couldn't help but smile when I was listening. She made me remember that things were fun, and she made me look forward to waking up again. I could watch more videos instead of dreading more painful treatments. Dazzler gave me hope when things were really bad, and that's kind of what music is not necessarily supposed to do for you, but it's one of the things it should do for you, is that it should give you some kind of an emotion. You should have some kind of a feeling from it. And I really enjoyed the fact that he was being very, for all intents and purposes, very open and honest about how he felt about the music to begin with, that he didn't think it was particularly good at first, but he just fell in love with it over time. And it's something that he kind of clung to. And it's kind of the same thing for me. I always tell people, whenever I listen to K-pop, it is impossible for me to be in a bad mood. I've never been in a bad mood while listening to K-pop. It always lifts my spirits. It brings me up. It helps me stop thinking about things that are troubling me. And I'm always happy. I can't, like, usually I hear a song, I immediately start smiling. The first couple of chords, and I'm like, yeah, I thought this was actually a really cool and interesting moment. Now, that's kind of neither a here nor there type of thing. However, getting away from the whole Dazzler situation, the concert and everything going with Gabe, the main issue of this book, and it's something that actually happens at the very beginning of this issue, is the fact that we have to remember what's going on with Kamala's Law from the story Outlawed, because that is still a thing. The fact that child superheroes, young superheroes, are outlawed. They are not allowed to be a thing, and the government is going hard body after them. And when we open up this book, we see that Captain America, Captain Marvel, and Iron Man, they approach one of the Krakoan embassies, and they have questions because they're worried about the children of the Atom. Now, the way this is framed, and I know a lot of people are going to come at this from, like, multiple different angles, whatever, but I know a lot of people, a lot of X-Men fans are going to immediately come out of the gate and be like, oh man, the Avengers, man, I don't give a fuck, man. They were talking shit. They were walking into the House of X and talking mad shit. No, that's not what they were doing. They were literally coming in because they are actually genuinely concerned. They've seen the videos and the newspaper stories about these children of the Atom, these people who Cap even says people are calling them the young X-Men, these young mutants. They're coming to the Krakoan embassy because they want to tell the mutants about it, and they want them to do something about it because they are worried the government is going to send them. They don't want to do anything here. And I know it's going to be real easy for a lot of people to get in their feelings and be like, yeah, man, they were trying to pull up, man. They were trying to talk shit. And it's like, no, that's not what was going on here. The way this is being framed, yes, of course, things do get heated because, of course, right now the mutants are kind of flippant about this sort of thing. They don't like being told what to do. And of course, they also don't like the idea of a bunch of flat scans, a bunch of normies coming along and telling them that they should be doing this when they're already doing the other thing and may already in likelihood be doing the thing the Avengers are telling them to do. Of course, and you put Mystique in there, and it's one of those situations where I kind of get why this whole conversation went sideways. I mean, hell, there's even a point. Captain Marvel even points out that they don't like the law. They don't agree with the law. But if the X-Men don't do anything about this, they're going to make the Avengers do something about it. And they would rather not do that. Now, of course, things get more interesting when Storm gets involved in all this because Storm is the cooler head between herself and Mystique and probably most any other character on the X-Men. But Storm comes in and she's taking in everything that Captain America, Captain Marvel, and Iron Man have to say, but she's also reaffirming to them something that I kind of feel like we talked about a little bit earlier in regards to Gabe. There is not a mutant alive in the Marvel Comics universe who is not aware of the fact that they are not welcome in human spaces and that they should probably carry themselves in different ways or be mindful of how they operate in the human world. And Captain Marvel actually does bring up a very valid point, the fact that, yeah, if these kids who are, for all intents and purposes considered mutants, if they up somehow in some way, kind of like what happened with the Champions that kicked off this whole Kamala's Law thing, they're gonna mess around and start an international incident. This is like, what if someone gets killed? This is going to reflect on Krakoa, and Krakoa can't have that, even though Storm actually does completely understand exactly where they're coming from. It's kind of like the whole situation of how it's being approached. It makes this whole thing turn to a dick measuring contest. This is actually one of the things that I always kind of, like, it's a trope about comics I've always hated, is that two different heroes can't agree to disagree or can even, like, in any way, shape, form, or fashion agree on anything whatsoever. They can be on the same side, but they can't necessarily be on the same page of the same book at the same time. So, of course, Storm does let them know that they're going to handle the issue, that the X-Men are on the case. They're going to take care of the children of the Atom. They're going to do so on their own time. There's also some other things they need to take care of as well, and this is kind of where Storm is referring to Mystique about locating people that are not easy to locate. And it's because the children of the Atom, they don't pop up on Cerebro. Something is masking them from Cerebro. Now, it has been heavily applied that the children of the Atom are not actually mutants. We saw this in the previous issue where they tried to go through the Krakoan gate and they were unable to do so. We don't know if this is because Marvel Guy is shielding them psionically. We don't even know if he's powerful enough to do that yet, or whatever else is going on. But the whole idea is that they may not be what they think they are, or maybe they are, but maybe they're the next step in mutant evolution, kind of like the way that we used to have, I mean, technically we still have externals, even though most of them are dead, but the way we used to have Neos back in the 90s and was it early 2000s, that was a thing at one point in time, unfortunately. But once again, the reason why all this is going on, because not only are they trying to look for the children of the atom, there's something else that's going on as well. The fact that the Hell's Bells are getting busted out of prison. Once again, also at the very beginning of this issue, we see that one of the characters, Vague, is using her one phone call in jail to contact somebody. It's never explicitly stated who it is they're speaking to, but who they're talking to is the mutant Briquette, because Briquette, as we talked about in the previous issue, is the one mutant on the Hell's Bells who actually kept her powers after M-Day, and is also the only one among their number who is on Krakoa, and what they're asking for is basically to break Krakoan protocol, which technically breaking, mutants out of jail is not technically against Krakoan law, but the fallout that could result from breaking them out of jail, like possibly killing a human, could be a possibility. And Briquette is putting a lot on the line here, and that's exactly what's happening. And this is why the Children of the Atom rush off from Dazzler's concert to go and look in on what's happening with the Hell's Bells. And this is one of those situations where this doesn't go the way that the previous fight went, because last time when it was just Vague, Flambe, and Tremolo, they weren't really able to not necessarily hold their own. They did actually hold their own against the Children of the Atom. However, the Children of the Atom still got that ass. This time, they're actually going up against somebody who still has their mutant abilities. And that's Briquette. Briquette is actually the difference maker here. They are unable to really do anything to her in any meaningful way. Every time they try and use their abilities on her, it almost never works. And of course, now the Hell's Bells are aware that one of them is a telepath, so they're already kind of preparing for any kind of psychic mumbo jumbo that's going to be going on in this fight. And even though 3 of the Hell's Bells don't have powers, they are still able to hold their own just based on the strength of the fact that Briquette is in the building. And while they're fighting, this brings up a very awesome moment for commentary, because we just kind of automatically assume, because we're the readers, we just assume that all mutants know what's going on in Krakoa, regardless of whether or not they're actually there or not. And it's actually not the case. We learned that the reason why the Hell's Bells have never gone to Krakoa, because this actually is brought up when Cherub asked them, why don't you just go to Krakoa? Why stay here in the human world and commit crimes? Why don't just go live your best life somewhere where you're actually going to be treated like an equal? And this is where Vague reveals once again, they don't have their powers and they don't want to be somewhere where they're on an island with with other people like them who have their powers and they don't. What they're doing is they're trying to get money by, robbing banks and stealing. They're trying to raise money so they can potentially buy their powers back somehow. Which is funny to think about, because the Crucible is a thing. Mutants who are depowered can go through the Crucible and get their powers back. Now, they either A, obviously don't know this is a thing, or B, don't want to die to get their powers back, even if they know they could be resurrected. I'm going to go ahead and lean on the fact that I don't think they know. But I would like to believe they would, considering Briquette has been on the island for some time. Briquette was one of the first mutants who even entered Krakoa when all villains were offered the same opportunities as other former X-Men. All of that aside, the Children of the Atom do actually put up a pretty decent fight, but it's also here where we learn that, yeah, they're still incredibly inexperienced. The simple fact that Daycrawler, who prefers to be called Nighty Nightcrawler, apparently. This comes up multiple times out of the issue that they all hate their names, and because Cyclops last was the one who came up with the names for everybody, but Daycrawler is the one who seems to be the most vocal about how dumb the names are, which I think is pretty an awesome commentary in and of itself. But the fact that you can tell they're very inexperienced, not just because they're kids, but because of the fact that when Daycrawler, the fact that when he tries to teleport them all away from harm, after recognizing that they are in deep shit and way out of their league, when he teleports them away, it's safe to assume that he teleported them somewhere way far away. It's actually not the case. He only teleported them one room away from where they were, and this is why immediately after they're teleported, Briquette comes bursting through the wall and snatching them up. But it's here that we learn that Mystique was somehow able to locate the Children of the Atom, probably largely because of the whole breakout with the Hell's Bells. And this is where Storm, Toad, Husk, and a mutant that I'm not 100% I know who that is. I'm not familiar. At first I thought maybe it was Boom Boom, but they never say anything, so it's hard to tell. But point of the matter is, Storm Storm pulls up and she offers the Hell's Bells amnesty. She tells them that they are welcome on Krakoa. All they have to do is reach out their hand and ask, because the Hell's Bells are under the impression that they have been abandoned because no one ever came to get them. But Storm assures them that no, that's not how this works. We don't abduct mutants. We don't make mutants come to Krakoa. They have to come to us willingly. And when Tremolo is offered Storm's hand, even though at first she looks like she's reluctant to take it, she does. And the Hell's Bells are now welcomed on Krakoa. Now, this is also a moment where Storm turns her attention towards the children, letting them know that you have a place on Krakoa. All you have to do is come with us. We can take care of you. We can help you with the things that you're concerned about, that you're worried about perception and whether or not you would be able to come and go as you please, or whether or not your freedoms would be taken away. She's like, no, I can help you with this. We can talk this out. We can give you the opportunity that you want. But at this particular point, something else is kind of going on, because we notice that when Marvel Guy and Daycrawler are about to reveal that they tried to come to Krakoa and step through one of the gates, and that they just stepped right through it and nothing happened. They weren't teleported anywhere. They literally just walked to the other side of the gate without any teleportation whatsoever. Cyclops Lass jumps in and cuts them off, basically saying that no, they'll be okay. We're gonna be fine. We'll come to you when we're ready. And Storm offers them one of her communicator badges from her old suit, which, by the way, that's actually one of the things I thought was pretty cute about this issue, is the fact that Storm is actually rocking the old 90s Jim Lee era X-Men costume, but I'm kind of here for it. There's no rhyme or reason behind it, but it was really cute to see it happen. But Storm gives them one of her communicator tracking badges from her old costume, and you can tell that, you know, the team is just completely, especially Cyclops Lass, who is a mega X-Men stan, they're completely drawn in on this one. But we do know they make another attempt to try again. They're going to make another attempt to step through the gate. Now, we don't get to learn exactly what happens when they do step through the gate, but I'm pretty sure we're going to learn that maybe there is something that is holding them back. There's got to be something holding them back. Now, yeah, the most obvious answer is they are not, in fact, actually mutants. They are probably something else. Or, like I said earlier, maybe there's some version of a next step in evolution for mutants like Neo's were. There's also that as a possibility. There's even the notion that's been brought up, and this is something that I have even entertained myself, that they might even be post-human and don't know it. I mean, could you imagine it? Especially after we just had X-Men number 18 and 19, where we had Sync, Darwin, and X-23 infiltrating the Children of the Vault? Come on now. Children of the Vault, Children of the Atom. I mean, I'm being flippant here, but I'm not saying there's any actual correlation. I know somebody's be like, oh my God, Blerd's overthinking it. No, I'm joking. But it wouldn't surprise me if maybe we're seeing the opposite side of that, where the Children of the Vault could potentially be sleeper agent post-humans. This is why they can't enter the gates. What if the Vault, in response to seeing Darwin and X-23 doing what they did, created their own version of post-humans that could pass as mutants, especially after what Darwin was able to do to mask them from the Children of the Vault? And now the Vault has Darwin's DNA. Look, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I would not be surprised if it did. There's any number of reasons why they could possibly be whatever it is that they are, and I kind of feel like some of the answers to that question also kind of go back to Cole. Something tells me that there's something that's going on there with Cole that may link back to what's going on. There's no telling really where this is going to go, and I'm so hyped for it. Like, I love this issue because it actually went back and addressed a lot of the things that I talked about in the previous issue, and I know for a fact that it has nothing to do with what I said, because of the nature of comics. This book was already written long before I made the video for Children of the Atom number 1. That book was already at press by the time I hit send on that video, so I know it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with anything I've said on Twitter. I just love the fact that in this issue, they addressed, Vita Ayala addressed some of the things that I brought up. The fact that the names are stupid. The fact that the characters of the Hell's Bells, why didn't they go to Krakoa? Why isn't Briquette helping? Has Briquette not said something to them about Krakoa? She's on Krakoa. She's clearly not with them right now. Why isn't she trying to get them on? It's one of those things that, yeah, Vita Ayala came in and just addressed every single issue. And I dug it. I liked it. I liked pretty much everything here. Everything was great. I love the synergy between Vita Ayala's writing and Bernard Chang's art. The colors in this, which I normally don't talk about color in comics, but Marcelo Maiello, I love what they are doing with the color here in this comic. It's very good. It's solid. It's great. I don't know how else to put it. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, Hulk smash that like button, and make sure to share this video all over the internet and with all your friends so they'll know how you leveled up your comic book big brain in regards to Children of the Atom and Reign of X. Also on your way out, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know what you thought of Children of the Atom #2. Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.